Everything we know about Path of Exile 2 in 9 minutes. All right, we've been talking a lot about Diablo 4, and we're going to watch a video on Diablo 4, but we're going to look at this one right now. Everything that we know about Path of Exile 2 in 9 minutes, which is actually not true. It's 9 minutes and 46 seconds. Let's do it.
It's hard to believe that it's been nearly 4 years since this beautiful man announced Path of Exile 2 on the stage at ExileCon back in 2019.
I think it was the first one they
Where's
did.
the time gone? Well, with ExileCon 2 just around the corner, here's everything we know about Path of Exile 2.
All right, let's hear it.
Path of Exile 2 will be a massive expansion of Path of Exile 1 rather than being a new standalone game. And it will introduce a new 7-act story campaign that can be played alongside the original campaign to access a shared endgame, the Atlas and mapping system we know and love. We'll also be getting some juicy graphics updates in part from engine upgrades and back-end optimization.
So I feel like Path of Exile 2, like, it's almost going to be kind of like Overwatch 2, where it's not going to be like a totally new fucking game. It's just like a massive overhaul of the existing game,
which will make the game look more like this.
That's good.
16 times the detail.
There'll be plenty of new animations and environmental effects too. Just look at those arrows. And character models will be getting some updates as well, but fear not, all of the MTX you've invested your hard-earned cash into over the years will still work in Path of Exile 2.
Yep, thank God for that. I spent like, let's just keep watching the video.
One of the biggest changes coming to the game with Path of Exile 2 is the complete overhaul of the skill gem and socket system. In Path of Exile 2,
like, I think this is going to be like the main factor of the game being good or not. Like, because I think like getting a 6-link is kind of important, but if there was an easier way to get it, I don't think that would be a big deal.
Socketing your support gems into linked sockets in your gear, you'll instead socket them directly into the active skill gem itself, which itself is then socketed into predetermined sockets in your gear. There'll be a flashy new skill gem interface to support this change. Orbs of fusing will be no more, as the sockets and skill gems will always be linked, and you'll be able to find up to 3 linked skill gems from item level 1 to 19. 4 linked skill gems from item level 20 onward, 5 linked skill gems from item level 35 onward, and fully 6 linked skill gems starting at item level 50.
I wonder if they'll still have things like tabulas where like you can get something like this at like level 50 plus and then like send it to an alt that's like level 5 or some shit. I bet they will.
Also, did you spot that multicolored socket? That's a new addition with the predetermined gear socket system in Path of Exile 2. Gear will always drop with the same number and color of sockets based on type. Like this hybrid armor evasion helmet with a hybrid red and green socket, which means it can be socketed with either color of gem. Two-handed weapons will have 4 sockets. One-handed weapons and offhands will have 2 sockets each. Body armors will have 2 sockets and helmets. Gloves and boots will have 1 socket each. You'll still be able to modify the color of sockets on gear with a new in-game currency, and you'll also be able to use chromatic orbs and jewelers to modify the sockets on skill gems.
Okay, great.
If you find a skill gem with more links than the one you are using, you'll be able to destroy your current gem to apply the level and experience to the new gem to obtain.
See, like, that's just a quality of life thing that just makes the game better. And I'm really glad that they're doing this, because I think Path of Exile has a lot of like really kind of antiquated ideas and old school gaming ideas. And the problem is like there's a few of them that really make the game good, but there's a lot of them that make it worse. Like, for example, not letting people respec before they finish the campaign. Like, I've said this before, I think you should be able to respec with no restrictions until you finish the campaign at least. There is no fucking advantage to locking a new player into a shitty build. Why? Who is this helping? Who is this for? They don't have the currency to buy the regrets. They have some obvious quest items that they can get, but it's hard to even figure out what that is if you're a new player for the game. So yes, I really hope that PoE 2 gets rid of some of those old vestiges and it just keeps the core good gameplay that they've developed over the last 10 years.
More links. Not bad.
Mm-hmm.
While the new socket and gem system may be the largest change that Path of Exile 2 will introduce,
that's probably the biggest
addition
one.
of 19 new Ascendancy classes might be the most anticipated feature. The new Ascendancies will be tied to the new campaign, so if you want to play a Juggernaut or a Pathfinder, you'll still need to play through the original campaign to reach the end game. The Ranger will be getting
I think that kind of sucks. I wish that you could just get it from the new one. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's not, like, why. Why make somebody go back and play the old campaign?
A new Survivalist Ascendancy, with an interesting dynamic with the skill tree having defensive options on the left side and offensive options on the right side.
Mm-hmm.
One of the offensive options, Division, grants you 2 copies of compatible skills socketed in your bow, one supported by GMP and the other by Barrage.
That's really
potentially
cool.
Potentially 2 7 links. The Survivalist will also have an Ascended-like choice between Fork, Pierce, and Chain.
And I feel like what's really so nice about that is, like, that's such a quality of life for a bow user. Because, like, how many of you guys, like, have something like that whenever you play, like, with a bow build? And it's like you want to have 2 6-link spells, like one for single target, one for clear, but you don't really want to deal with it. So you either decide to use, like, you probably use your clear spell for single target and it pisses you off. How many of y'all did that? I did that many times. It sucks.
And the multiplication skill that allows you to save your projectiles to build up larger bursts.
Oh my god, gem swap.
On the defensive side, we have spell avoidance, which converts your evasion into spell evasion. Spell accuracy, anyone? The Ranger will also be getting the Beastmaster Ascendancy, which heavily supports the new shapeshifting abilities that will be coming in Path of Exile 2.
Oh, this is like Diablo 4. They stole this from Diablo 4. Wow, that's crazy. I can't believe it.
This Ascendancy will grant you the Workat skill, a high crit shapeshifting ability which you won't be able to find anywhere else. You'll also be able to spec into Wild Shape to massively improve shapeshifting bonuses and keep those bonuses even when you're in human form. Ally of the Wild will give you a nice little companion that will work like a golem and provide buffs.
I think that's really cool to have something that's not a necromancer that has different minions and stuff. That's a really cool idea.
Can specialize into which type of companion you need.
And this one makes the most sense.
The Ranger's third new Ascendancy, the Tactician, is possibly the most ambitious of them all.
What's that?
The Tactician will be able to continuously bombard areas with raining arrows, and even gain multiple uses of this skill which will prevent enemies from attacking at range. Meanwhile, the Siege Warfare and Siege Breaker notables will provide massive buffs to your totems, like ensnaring enemies and making them take more ranged attack damage, and allowing the most recently placed totem to deal a lot more damage. But the most interesting of all is the Close Combat Specialist, which will enable the Tactician to use axe and sword melee abilities with a bow.
What the fuck? That's crazy. A what? A bow. You use it's the front of the boat because it's like, imagine that one of the classes just sails a boat around the map.
Developers did mention that they are re-rigging animations which have made things like bows using melee animations possible in Path of Exile 2. Pretty cool.
That's cool.
We don't have a whole lot of information on the other Ascendancies, but we do have some names and concepts. Here's the Defiler, a new Witch Ascendancy. And the Arcanist, another Witch Ascendancy that will have a heavy focus on lightning damage and charging up energy.
Oh, I like that.
There's also the Reaver, a War Leader Ascendancy for the Marauder, which will grant powerful bonuses to allies around him.
That's cool to have things that are built more towards group content. But, like, let's be honest, what is that really going to be? You're the war leader and you got a bunch of fucking minions. I think that's going to be cool. If that's actually the way it works, I might play that. That's badass.
And this, an unnamed Marauder Ascendancy with a focus on avatars and ancestral abilities.
Nah, this shit's stupid. I always thought every chieftain build I ever seen's been stupid. Except for the one I played. And that one was stupid too. Man, that one pissed me the fuck off. I hated that shit.
New Ascendancies are pretty exciting, But there's also going to be new weapon types too. We
What are
know
the
of at
weapons?
least 2 of them. The crossbow and the spear.
Crossbow. Well, how can it be a crossbow if it's attacks 1.1 second? Like, I feel like that's... I feel like if you use a crossbow, like, you should only be able to attack, like, every 3 seconds, but, like, whenever you do attack, it'll do, like, something crazy. I feel like that the idea of a crossbow is that you do, like, big dick hits. Slower than bows? Yeah, hell yeah.
These new weapons seem to hint at a new direction in terms of gameplay in regards to your choice of weapon, as both of them...
I just can't see, like, what's the difference between... Oh, so is a crossbow, like...
will grant new skills. Crossbows grant implicit attack skills such as Power Shot, a high-damage single-target ability. Instead of socketing attack skills, you can socket crossbow bolt types to augment the attack abilities and change what they do. We know of at least...
I just wonder how much different is that going to be from bow on a functional level?
3 types of bolts. Armor-piercing, incendiary, and permafrost. Meanwhile, the spear will allow you to use new engage and disengage abilities to provide freedom of movement and more interesting combat.
Okay.
Aside from what we've already discussed in this video, there are a few more tidbits of information we have about Path of Exile 2. We know that there will be a new gem type called meta gems, which the developers described as the opposite of an active skill gem.
They stole that from Burning Crusade, World of Warcraft. Uh-huh. Yeah. Look at that.
Instead of socketing support gems into an active skill gem, you'll socket active gems into meta gems.
Okay.
Like this proficiency meta gem for auras, which will allow you to turn all of your auras on or off with a single hotkey. Neat. Cast on critical strike support.
Neat is right. Cool. Like, I feel like there's a part of me, like, getting mad after you die to a boss and then turning all of your auras on as you run back to the boss. I feel like that's like a Zen energy thing. Now, they should definitely have this on, but, like, there is a fucking vibe that creates.
And spell totem support will also be meta gems. Speaking of spell totem, the developers also talked about tentative plans for new AI options to allow your spell totems to use skills in certain orders.
That's cool.
In this example, they showcased a spell totem setup that will curse any uncursed enemies in the area before moving on to use other skills.
Okay.
On the discussion of AI, they also mentioned that monster packs will have more interesting AI in Path of Exile 2.
Oh, great. So now then fucking Diablo 3 and PoE, Diablo 4 and PoE 2, you're gonna have a bunch of range mobs running away from you. Ah, shit! I thought I was gonna be able to get away with it in this game. Yeah, it's gonna be another spider fucking webs you and runs away. I can't wait.
Such as patrolling areas where appropriate. Of course, you can also expect other upgrades such as UI elements, like this new character sheet, which will provide information that is better laid out and easier to find.
I hope they have another option that is the same as the old one, because like the old one had like more like information. I think it's good to have something like this for casual and intermediate players, for sure.
And look at this new skill gem stat screen too. During a discussion on
that's
some of the
really
pain points
nice.
of
That is so nice to have. Wow.
Path of Exile, the developers talked about having ascendancy skills such as the pre-existing bone armor on the Necromancer, or the new skills like those granted by the Beastmaster, and having them scale as you progress in Path of Exile 2 instead of granting a static value like they do currently. They weren't sure yet if this would be tied to level progress or based on when you take each ascendancy notable.
Okay.
The developers also talked about how the new Ascendancy notables in Path of Exile 2 are designed to have far less clutter stats and instead focus on 1 or 2 impact.
That's good. Like all the in like the ascendancies, it always feels bad spending one of your ascendancy points on like a connector node that just you do 10% increased area damage. Like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, just get rid of some of those.
Full stats. They mentioned that the original ascendancies will need a rebalance to bring them to the same level. Well,
yeah, I have no
that's
doubt.
just about all we know about Path of Exile 2. The project was slated for a 2022 release prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, which ultimately impacted the planned schedule. But by how much? Will we see a 2023 release?
I feel like you are 100% going to see a lot of news about PoE 2 at ExileCon 2023. It's not even a question. I think it's a fucking fact. Now, is PoE 2 going to come out this year? Yeah, I could see that happening at the end of the year. Yeah, sure. Because you got to keep in mind, like, PoE 2 is not PoE 2. It's like Overwatch 2. Where, like, they're making a lot of fundamental changes. They're upgrading the graphics. They're changing, like, some systems. But at the end of the day, it's basically the same game. It's really PoE 1.5. So I could see it coming out this year, absolutely. However, one thing that makes me think it might not happen like that is that it's going to come out in July. Or, sorry, the announcement's going to be in July, probably. And so that means they're going to have maximum probably 5 months, 4 months to do all of the beta testing and everything for this game. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. That's not a lot of time. Because, like, I knew that there was Diablo 4, like, closed betas going on for, like, the last 6 months. So, I don't know. December release, I'd say? I hope so. I really hope so, but we'll see.
We'll likely find out that and a lot more about Path of Exile 2 at ExileCon on July 29th and 30th in Auckland, New Zealand. If you've enjoyed this video, help the algorithm out by clicking the thumbs up and subscribing for more content like this in the future. I'm Dreamcore. This was everything we know about Path of Exile 2, and as always, stay tuned and stay safe.
I'm really excited about, this is a great video, by the way. Like, this is so clean, so well put together. This dude only has 400 fucking subscribers. I'm going to link you guys the video. Now he's got 405. This is actually a really well put together video. Absolutely. Yeah. 100% very good video. Yeah. TTS? Who gives a fuck if it's TTS? If it works, it works. Like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I thought New Zealand was only in Lord of the Rings. Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah, New Zealand's not a real place. It's only in the first movie. But yeah, I'm very much excited about PoE 2. Absolutely. Now, I have to see more of, like, how much of the game is going to be completely changed, how much of it is going to be PoE 1.1. I don't know exactly, but I am super fucking excited for this game. Like, I played PoE. I've been playing PoE now. I can say it. I've been playing PoE for 10 years, on and off. Isn't that crazy? Holy shit. Yeah, it is so crazy. I really don't want to replay PoE 1. I feel like they shouldn't make you replay PoE 1 for the old ascendancies. Now, I'm going to tell you also, like, I'm actually so excited about the idea of, like, a war leader, where it's like a barbarian type class, but he's like, he can, like, have, like, soldiers with him or something like that, and he can empower his soldiers. Like, he can attack them or do, like, different attacks, like, make this target take more damage. Like, that sounds so fucking cool, and I think I'm actually going to play that. Like, if there's a warlord, exactly. Warmonger. Yeah, it was Warmonger. Yeah, if there's a way for me to play that way, oh, I absolutely will do that. I think that'll be really fun. A Necromancer Barbarian. Yeah, that's really cool. Do you think they should have a boob jiggle mechanic in PoE 2? I mean, Atziri, look at the fucking, the art for Atziri. Yeah, I bet they're going to fucking have some titty jiggle art. You're goddamn right. Sounds like an RTS Barb? Yeah. I'm not excited about having to level another set of acts, though. Wish we could level in Rift-style environment. Yeah. I think that some of that kind of stuff, especially in making the game... I do think that PoE doesn't lose anything by removing some vestigial elements of the game that are just like... they're like ankle weights. Like, there's just so many ankle weights, I feel like, in PoE sometimes. Like, with, like, not being able to respec. With, I think that's probably the worst one. Like, I think that is absolutely the worst. Probably, like, doing your Atlas every league. I think that's kind of an ankle weight. It would be better if they had another system that would take less time. Lab trials, well, you don't have to do that anymore. They fixed that. Current gems are an ankle weight. Yeah, current gems. Yeah, ID scrolls, but no Deckard Cain. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of ID scrolls. Regret, orbs are dumb as fuck and ruin it for new players. I think that you can make the argument that it's kind of good to, lock people into a spec, like very late into the game for like PoE, because it's like kind of an old school type game. I get that. But I think that is a debatable topic. But I think what is not debatable is it's bad to lock new players into a spec. I cannot see an advantage or an argument for that being good. So yeah, I really hope they just renovate the game. I hope PoE 2 is what like kind of happened with Final Fantasy 14, where a lot of Path of Exile was built around like Diablo 2 systems and stuff like that. And then Final Fantasy 14, I think around like, Heaven's Ward, Stormblood, somewhere around there, really kind of came into its own and got rid of those old systems that were basically just like, again, vestigial systems from WoW, and it became its own game. And that's whenever it really became good. So I hope PoE 2 is that moment for PoE. So yeah, very excited about this. Does PoE have their Yoshida? Yes, they do. His name's Chris Wilson. Although people go from loving Chris to hating Chris, sometimes multiple times each day. Especially at the beginning of leagues. Yeah, it happens a lot. And he will write Reddit posts and explain things to the community. Always a mistake, but he will do it. This is impressive.